My name is Max, and welcome to Sonic Dorms. On today's episode, I have a very special guest, the one and only Michael Wilton of Queensrÿche, now heading into a 40-plus year career. They're one of the pivotal, to me, bands in the progressive metal community and just in the universe of what I consider to be progressive metal, at least what you know of it today. So with that being said, welcome to the show, Michael. Thanks for coming on.
Right on. It's good to be here.
Yeah, Digital Noise Alliance, your 16th studio album is out now. Fantastic release. It really is a progression of what's come before in the last nearly a decade now that Todd's been in the band as the lead vocalist, starting with the self-titled back in 2013. I would like to say thank you for continuing to deliver the goods. I think this is a strong release. And I really feel like people that, especially people of fans of yours from that initial run from 82 to 94, let's say, to me, this is a perfect pickup for fans of that specific era of Queensrÿche.
Yeah, I mean it's an evolution, and it's a growing thing with us in progress. I think now that Todd's been in the band, around 10 years, it's something that the lineup now is just really an amazing chemistry, and we work together, we tour a lot, we work hard, and I think it shows in the recordings. They progress in a certain way that it's just down the path of Queensrÿche, and I'm very happy with the way the band is performing and just getting along and having a good time and having fun at what we're doing. um I think coming out of a pandemic, it was a really bummer. It was it sucked for everybody, but for us it was we had amazing momentum going, and then it kind of got taken away from us, and then now it's like, and with all bands, it's like it's kind of just pushing the envelope, I guess, and I think we really tried to push ourselves and make something really special with Digital Noise Alliance.
If you don't mind, one of the things I like doing on this show, especially for first-time guests, is going back to the roots of it all, the origin story, if you will. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a bit about what got you initially into music to begin with, and what made you want to fall in love with all this and become a part of a band and write music and tour. What really was that spark for you?
I grew up in a family that had a vast awareness of different styles of music. So as a young kid, I was always listening to different types of music, like jazz, fusion, rock, metal, pop, classical, all that. And I think I was into sports. Actually, I was into baseball when I was in high school, and I was teetering with that and playing guitar. And I think just coming up in the 80s, it was so inspirational. Being a young kid, you're like a sponge, just absorbing everything. You open the door to uh, just amazing guitar players. As you become a little more sophisticated in your palette as far as listening, um, and that's kind of how it all got started. I after I left high school, um, I went to the Cornish Institute of Allied Arts in Seattle, Washington, and there I learned, you know, uh, classical guitar. I studied with a guy that lived on the beaches of Spain, and learned from masters over there. And I took classes in gamelan, which is Tibetan rhythmic music, um, jazz workshops, improvised jazz workshops, all this stuff that kind of uh, fueled the brain as far as um, what I was inputting. But that, I did that for a year and a half, and basically, the funds stopped, and I kept uh, in touch with some of my friends, some of my guitar friends. I gained the nickname the Whip from my guitar friends who said that I whipped on the guitar, and that's something that just stuck. It's still my nickname today. Um, but yeah, I met the guys. Back then, we were like 18, 19, 20. And we just had a mutual love for hard rock guitar. And back then it was more of you know pop radio, top 40 kind of stuff that you heard on the rock stations, right? It wasn't that inspiring for young kids like us that wanted loud, heavy music. So we grasped the whole metal invasion that was happening over in Europe and the UK. And we would go to the record stores and check all the imports. And that's where, you start becoming aware of, I started becoming aware of like dual guitar bands like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. And it was so cool back then. And I think all of that just kind of, I don't know, it just formulated and gave me a path in music, I would say. And and at that time we had day jobs just like everybody else. We had to pay the bills. But at night we would go into the studio, and we decided, hey, let's write some original music. And we had 4 songs that we recorded from midnight till 8 in the morning. It was the graveyard shift at Triad Studios in Redmond, Washington, excuse me. And so we had this badass cassette of these demos, and we took it to the Easy Street Records store where we got all the cool imports from Europe, and played it for the store owners, and they loved it. They said, you know we want to back you and press this into an album and get it out there. And we didn't really know any better, so it's like, yeah, okay, sounds good. And so we did that. And then uh, a magazine in the UK called Kerrang did this article on us called Armed and Ready, and had our picture in it, and said really kind words about our 4-song EP. And that's when it just took off. And it was all of a sudden, it was being played on the local Seattle radio stations, and nobody believed it was us. They thought it was a European band. And you know subsequently, that led down the road to signing a major deal with EMI Records, and a couple of showcase uh, performances with the band Zebra. Um, and then it was off, to opening up for like Quiet Riot at the Texas Jam. It was, I think, we went from playing a 2,000 seater to like a 8,000, you know, festival. And we were opening up for the band Axe, who was opening up for Quiet Riot. And this is when Quiet Riot was huge.
Mental Health had just come out. There's like probably like 82, 83, right?
Exact. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I had to pinch myself. Am I really doing this? Is this, uh, you know, is this really happening?
Do you
And so
recall, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you recall the reception at the time when people first heard that initial, you know, you coming out of the gate with that first EP? Do you remember how people reacted to the music?
I think, people were interested in us. It definitely piqued curiosity in fans, and it's something that, it just spread like wildfire. It was, soon, we were opening for Twisted Sister, and then opening for Dio, and then, traveling all over the world. And, I'm like 22, 23 years old, and it's like, um, I go, this is the coolest thing, I could ever imagine doing. I mean, my parents were really proud. They still said, well, you got to have something to back up in case this music thing, fails. And it's like, no, I'm going for it. It consumes you, so you have to, uh, you live and breathe it every day. And, and just things just happened for us. It was, I think it was, the time in history when everything was flourishing in the music industry. And um, we were just in the right time, right place at the right time, and we just took advantage of every opportunity, and it was full bore from there.
Two things come to mind for myself. One of them being the recent Dio documentary, "Dreamers Never Die," was just released on Showtime, so everybody's got a chance to watch it now. But do you have a Dio story, considering you were on tour with Dio early on? Because I hear he was the nicest man to everybody that he toured with, to his opening act. So, do you have a Dio story by any chance?
He was such a gracious guy. He was. I remember when we first opened for him, and he gave us lights and pretty much full sound, which never happened before. And I remember he had a chef on the road with him. So, and I had never, some of us had never really eaten Indian cuisine, and he invited us, uh, into his dressing room, and he had a little dining area set up, and you know, he introduced us to Indian cuisine. I think that was one of the coolest things. Um, it blew us away. He was so nice and so gracious. But I think that was really cool.
Right on. And another thing that's always sparked my curiosity is when it came to the band dynamics, you always had like I guess I would say the more aggressive songs in the catalog. You would have something like "In Force" written by Chris DeGarmo on The Warning, and then you would come in with something like the title track "Warning." You'd also have a song like "The Needle Lies" off Operation Mindcrime, or "Surgical Strike" off Rage for Order. Was that always your take as a songwriter, coming in with this more aggressive material? Was that just something that was innate to you as a songwriter, as a guitarist?
I think I tackled all, you know, styles of music as far as, but my I think it's like what my input as far as, like you said, the heavier riffing kind of stuff. It's like I think that was it balanced everything out, because we had the kind of more of the dynamic music, and we had um, kind of mid-tempo-ish stuff. So sometimes it was, you needed to inject something fast, and it's like I just happened to have lots of riffs that worked for that.
Did it take you by surprise 10 years, about 10 years later after you had arrived to the scene, you coming out of Washington, and then suddenly 10 years later you seeing the Seattle explosion happening? What was your take on all that, considering Queensrÿche was probably one of the first bands, artists to come out of Washington in such a big way, in such a monumental way?
Yeah, I think, as far as the metal, the progressive rock, and the hard rock, we catapulted, and so I think we were kind of in our you know automatic way of existing, and it's something that you see technology changing, the dynamics of the record companies were changing, and a new crowd was coming in, and they wanted something of their own, and and that all was great, for all those bands, especially all the bands from Seattle, because we knew them all. And um, if for us, it was a time of just a shift in the industry, and I think we weathered it. Um, we kind of went through some changes, probably like most bands do, and then I think we had such a solidified following that it really didn't matter. Um, we just kept doing what we do, and then the whole grunge thing happened. That was really great. Music got stale, I guess, and this new music came in. So, um, but for us, it's always been about a certain way we do things, and um, whether trends and things happen, I don't think we follow trends. We just do what we do.
Yeah, you guys are, to me, almost like the heavy metal Pink Floyd in a lot of ways, in that you guys just kind of stuck to your guns. Every album has its own character. Uh, what really brings it all together is the consistency in the songwriting. And there's that core that, to me, when people hear, they'll identify certain aspects in the songwriting, the playing styles, that people go, "Oh, that reminds me of the last record." But outside of that, really, every album holds its own sonic identity, which I think, is, to me, is one of the things that really had me personally gravitate towards the band early on.
Yeah, I think in our eyes that we wanted to make each album a little different. We didn't want to copy the last album and ride the success off of it. We wanted to push the boundaries of the band. So I think that is why you have such, for Queensryche fans, the legacy first 6 7 albums, they're all fairly different, um, and that's just the way that we are. And I think that um, one is that when we write what we're feeling, and it's not, I guess, influenced by what's being played on the radio or what's the hot at the moment. And I think that we push the boundaries. We're a band that, when we're in writing and recording in the studio, it's more of um, a headphone experience. That's what it was for us. We wanted to make, the layers and make the music interesting, and um, not just the mama beat four on the floor all the time. It was like it was we did, and that's where, you said that, we're recognized as a progressive band, and that I think it's just that we made the music interesting for us. The different time signatures, and the way that we write music. I think it's just the way we are, and how we do it. I mean, you want to please yourself as much as possible without, alienating your listeners and your fans. So, um, but yeah, I mean, it's all about pushing the envelope, and moving ahead, and taking chances. So I think that's just something we've always done.
Yeah, I agree because my two of my favorite Queensrÿche records in the catalog are Rage for Order and Promised Land. And to me, those records weren't digestible in a way that they got me on the first listen. It was more of a fourth, fifth time. Suddenly I heard all these layers and all these things, and the songs finally like came to life in a whole new way that maybe on first impression I didn't really get. But to me, that's the beauty of the Queensrÿche records. And I hear that a lot on the latest record, Digital Noise Alliance. And that first time I heard it, it was sort of just, it was like this almost like a cinematic experience in a way, especially on a sonic level. I know Zeus produced this, and he produced the last couple records prior to this, but to me, this really, there's almost like a Rage for Order quality to it sonically. And probably about the fourth or fifth listen, everything started to click in a way. So I felt very similar to like when I heard Promised Land the first time, which is almost like a sensory overload kind of experience, but in a great way, of course.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's like, you find, the songs that you listen to that have depth to them, and that you can keep listening to them over and over. They're multi-dimensional, and it's subtle, and it's not overdone, but it's just it's, we're a melodic band, and the way that we write music, just make it interesting.
Yeah, and now you have Mike Stone in the band as playing guitar alongside you. What's that feel like? I mean, he had been out of the band for a while. Now he's back, and how's that dynamic? I'm sure, was it a natural thing getting back into the groove of things with Mike Stone?
Yeah, it was like riding a bike.
Yeah.
It's he was available, and he wanted to help us out, and said, we got some touring, and um, would you be available? And he said, yeah. So and as far as a musician and a guitar player, he's totally proficient. He's a badass guitar player. Uh, so uh, and plus, he had been in and out of Queensryche in the past, and he already knew a bulk of the songs. So it was, when Parker decided to retire, it was like kind of a no brainer. So, and now that he's in the band, and we've done some couple of years of touring, and it's it's really the band's really on fire right now.
I
It's
I
it's
s-
the personnel in the band. It's a great chemistry, and we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been rooting for you guys, and you guys were my favorite band, like growing up, and still are, and I was very happy to see, sort of like the band get rebooted when it did in 2013 with Todd on vocals, and to me picking up sort of where my favorite era left off. So, um, I'm excited about the future still, and you guys have the first date on your upcoming tour. You're coming off of the tour with Priest now. Uh, you're touring now full fledged on this record, Digital Noise Alliance. The first date is actually in Orlando. I will be there, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. The DNA headline tour starts the beginning of March, and we have Marty Friedman and Trauma with us. So it'll be a good experience. It'll be a fun show. And, obviously we're touring on the Digital Noise Alliance album. So, we're looking to, change the set list up a lot and really uh, pull some deep cuts as well as promoting the latest stuff with Todd. So it's going to be really cool.
Awesome. Is there any plans at some point to? I know it's all about moving forward, momentum and whatnot. But has there ever been an idea to look back in the past and get maybe deluxe reissues of some of the older records like Rage for Order and Warning? I know there was an original mix for the Warning that was never released. That unfortunately, with the original intended track sequencing. Is there anything like that that you would cater to like doing in the future at some point?
Uh, the possibilities are there, but it's like opening up a can of worms.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the original demo tape of the Warning that James Guthrie, uh, mixed, and but that's back when we were recording in London, and he worked on The Wall with Pink Floyd and everything, and the uh, sadly the record company didn't see that, and they took the masters away from him, which was sad because the, that version of the Warning is pretty awesome.
Are there any substantial differences just in sound? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole package. It's the layers, it's the way songs go into each other. It's um that was the way it was supposed to be, recorded.
Right. And then moving forward now, you've already worked with Chris Zeus Harris now for about 3, 4 albums. Are you planning on continuing that relationship with him in the studio?
Yeah, I mean, he's a vital part of the band. There's uh, a big loyalty factor, there's a trust factor. um, we know, he'll push the envelope with us and get the best performances out of us, and he just kind of keeps us all corralled, and focused. And plus, he's just a cool guy to hang out with as well. So I think, if uh, I think we'll always, approach Zeus first, and hopefully he'll be able to record with us in the future.
Fantastic. You guys are ready. I'm sure you guys are ready. You already have some material already brewing for whatever comes next, because from what I've heard in the past stories, there's always a little bit of extra stuff left over.
Yeah, well, just in the recording of Digital Noise Alliance, I mean, we had like 20, 22 ideas. So we had to pick 11 songs out of that. So yeah, there's a lot of material that could be worked, and there's some really great stuff. So, but I don't know what we're gonna do. Nobody knows what we're gonna do. We're gonna tour on this for a while. So, but when we get to that point, uh, we'll start thinking about the next album, and we don't know what it'll be. It may be a live album. It may be a conceptual album. It may be just another Queensrÿche album. Who knows? But right now it's time to promote the Digital Noise Alliance.
Yeah, it's a fantastic record, so rightfully so. And in conclusion, I have to ask you, there's been 40 years now of Queensrÿche. Is there one album for you that you have that to you really has has an endearing place in your heart? One record that to you is the ultimate Queensrÿche album, or not even, but one that you just have the fondest of memories with? Is there one in particular for you?
Um, Not one, but I think the era of Rage for Order and Operation Mindcrime. I think those were special days of the band just finding its own identity, and just growing as writers, and you know just forming Queensrÿche basically. So I think those are probably they hold a special place, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Michael Wilton of Queensrÿche, thank you so much for being on Sonic Dorms and for giving me a shot here because I'm building my own little music community here, just little by little, and I really, really am gracious to anybody who decides to partake in that journey with me. Because to me, music is everything, and to me, we need more people talking about it, especially with new music, whether that be from older artists or younger artists, doesn't matter. To me, music is an ultimate factor, and we all need to contribute a little bit of something just by voicing our opinions on it. To me, so I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me today.
Yeah, and we appreciate the support, and just for you and your listeners, just support live music. The bands are counting on it, so, and live music is the best. So
Yeah, to me, buy a shirt, go support your bands. I mean, to me, that's it really, and you'll have a great experience, of course, with Queensryche. So again, Michael Wilton of Queensryche. Michael, again, all the best to you and to the success of the band.
right on, Max.